I thought Sophia was the perfect daughter-in-law. Sweet smiles, homemade lasagna, calling me mom like she meant it. Until our wedding day. She slapped me across the face in front of 200 guests, hissed, "Hand over the keys to my house, you old bat," and thought I was too weak to fight back. She had no idea. For months, I'd been silently watching, recording, building a mountain of proof. Videos, bank records, forged signatures, late-night phone calls plotting to sell my paid-off home and shove me in a basement suite. When she raised her hand again, my son walked in. He saw everything. The mask fell. The tables turned. And she lost it all. Marriage, freedom, future. This isn't just a story. It's what happens when you underestimate a quiet mother who's been watching every move. Watch till the end. You'll never see betrayal the same way again.
My name is Eleanor Harper. Most folks around here just call me Ellie. And at 68, I've lived long enough to know that the prettiest packages sometimes hide the sharpest thorns. I raised my only child, David, in this same two-story colonial on Maple Lane in suburban Dayton, Ohio. Paid it off in full back in 2002, right after my husband Tom passed from the heart attack that came out of nowhere. The house was our sanctuary. Creaky hardwood floors, the kitchen table where David carved his initials at age 9, I never sanded them out, and the backyard rose garden I still tend like it's my third child. When David brought Sophia home for the first time 3 years ago, I felt something shift in the air, like the first warm breeze after a long Ohio winter. She was 29 then, all long dark hair, bright hazel eyes, and that easy laugh that made strangers feel like old friends. She walked through my front door carrying a bakery box of cannoli and a bottle of Chianti, kissed my cheek, and said, "Mrs. Harper, I've heard so much about you. David says you're the best cook in the Midwest, so I brought dessert to bribe you into liking me." I laughed. How could I not? She helped set the table without being asked, complimented my chipped blue china like it was fine porcelain, and listened, really listened, when I told stories about David's soccer games and the time he tried to build a treehouse and nearly broke his arm. By the end of dinner, she was calling me mom like she'd been practicing it for months. David watched her with this soft, proud look I'd never seen on his face before. Later, when she stepped outside to take a call, he leaned over and whispered, "She's the one, Mom. I know it. She's family now." I believed every word. Over the next few months, Sophia became a fixture. Sunday dinners turned into a ritual. She'd show up early with grocery bags, insisting on cooking with me. Her lasagna was legendary. Layers of ricotta, homemade sauce with just the right kick of fennel, mozzarella that browned perfectly under the broiler. She'd roll up her sleeves, tie back her hair, and chat about everything. Her job as a marketing coordinator downtown, her dream of starting a family soon, how much she admired the way I'd raised David alone after Tom died. "You're so strong, Mom," she'd say, squeezing my hand. "I want to be like you when I'm your age." I ate it up, fool that I was. She noticed things no one else did. The way the roses in my garden were struggling because the soil had gone too acidic, she brought me bags of lime and helped me work it in, kneeling in the dirt beside me like we were planting memories together. When my arthritis flared and I couldn't reach the top shelves in the pantry, she quietly rearranged everything so my everyday items were within easy reach. She even fixed the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom without calling a plumber, laughing when I thanked her. "David says you're too proud to ask for help. Consider this practice for when I'm officially your daughter-in-law." David proposed 6 months later, on the back porch, under the string lights I'd hung for his 30th birthday. Sophia cried happy tears, hugged me so tight I could smell her vanilla perfume, and whispered, "Thank you for raising the man I love." The ring was simple, a solitaire diamond that caught the light just right. The wedding planning began immediately, and Sophia took charge like she'd been born for it. Guest lists, venues, floral arrangements, she handled it all with efficiency and grace. She even asked my opinion on everything, making me feel included instead of sidelined. Looking back, the signs were there if I'd wanted to see them. Small things. The way her smile sometimes didn't reach her eyes when David talked about money. How she'd casually ask about the house. "It's paid off, right, Mom? That's amazing in this economy." and then change the subject quickly. The times she'd borrow my credit card to pick up last-minute wedding favors, promising to pay me back, but the statements never showed a reimbursement. I'd brush it off. She was family. Families help each other. Sophia moved in gradually, even before the wedding. First a weekend here and there, then a suitcase that never quite left. She reorganized my spice rack. Alphabetical makes it easier, Mom. Swapped out my old coffee maker for a fancy single-serve one, much faster in the mornings, and started talking about updating the house. These walls haven't been painted since the 90s, she'd say lightly. Imagine how fresh it would look with something modern. David deserves a nice place to come home to. David worked 60-hour weeks at the engineering firm. He trusted her completely. Sophia's got great taste, Mom. Let her handle the house stuff. I nodded. I smiled. I watched. Because by then, I'd started watching everything. The late-night phone calls she took in the backyard, voice low. The way she'd glance at my mail when she thought I wasn't looking. The joking comments about how I'd love the senior apartments downtown once we have kids. Less stairs, more activities. I laughed along, but I began keeping notes in a small spiral notebook hidden in my nightstand drawer. Dates, times, exact words. I installed a simple security camera in the living room after a neighbor's garage was broken into. Told everyone it was for package theft. Sophia never questioned it. One evening, she sat beside me on the couch, wine glass in hand, and said softly, "Mom, you're so lucky to have this house free and clear. Most people our age are still paying mortgages. David and I, we want to build something like this someday, a real legacy." I patted her knee. "It'll happen, sweetheart." What I didn't say, this house is my legacy, Tom's and mine, David's childhood, every holiday, every scraped knee, every late-night talk after his first heartbreak. I would die in this house before I let anyone take it from me. Sophia leaned in, eyes shining. "I love you, Mom. You're going to be the best grandma." I smiled back. "I love you too, honey." But deep down, something had hardened, a quiet certainty. I wasn't just watching anymore. I was waiting. And when the time came, I would be ready. I am still alive. Trust no one. I thought it was a sick prank until I found the hidden safe, the secret flash drive, and proof that the people I loved most, my sister, my brother-in-law, even my own kids, had been poisoning him for months. They wanted the $2 million life insurance payout. They wanted him gone. And when he came back from the dead, that's when the real nightmare began. Betrayal, greed, family secrets that will haunt you forever. Watch if you dare, because once you start, you won't trust anyone either. She didn't push that day, but the seed was planted. A week later, the recliner went, my favorite one, Tom's old leather wingback with the worn arms where he used to rest his hands after long shifts. The springs were a shot, I'll admit, but I'd reupholstered the seat myself 2 years earlier. Sophia walked in with David one evening carrying 2 large cardboard boxes. "Surprise," she sang, "we got you something better." Inside the boxes, a sleek gray microfiber recliner with USB ports and a built-in massage function. David grinned like a kid on Christmas. Sophia saw it on sale, said, "You deserve to relax in style, Mom." I ran my hand over the new fabric. It felt cold. "What about the old one?" Sophia waved a hand. "We'll donate it. Someone else can use it. This one's ergonomic, better for your back." I didn't argue. They hauled the old recliner to the garage, and by the next morning, it was gone. I never saw a donation receipt. That's when the replacements accelerated. My chipped blue china plates replaced with matte white stoneware from Crate and Barrel. More contemporary, Mom. The ancient percolator coffee pot Tom loved swapped for a Keurig that hissed and beeped like an angry robot. "Faster cleanup," she explained. My faded kitchen curtains with the little embroidered daisies, gone, replaced with sheer white panels that let in too much light and made the room feel exposed. Each change came wrapped in kindness. "I just want you to be comfortable. David works so hard, he deserves a nice home to come back to. You've taken care of everyone else for so long. Let us take care of you now." I nodded. I thanked her. I smiled through gritted teeth. But I started paying closer attention. David was barely home. His engineering job had him on site at a new factory build in Cincinnati 3 days a week, then late nights in the office the rest. When he was around, he was exhausted, showered, ate whatever Sophia cooked, kissed my cheek, and crashed on the couch. He trusted her implicitly. "Soph's got everything handled, Mom. She's amazing." I didn't want to burst that bubble. Not yet. Then the credit card statements started arriving. I kept one emergency card in my name, low limit, paid off monthly for things like doctor copays or car repairs. I'd let Sophia use it once to buy wedding centerpieces when her own card was maxed from dress alterations. "Just this once, Mom. I'll pay you back next paycheck." I forgot about it. Until the bill came. $1,847.32. New flat-screen TV for the living room, plane tickets to Miami for a quick getaway she and David took, photos posted on Instagram with captions like "recharging before the big day," blue. A Louis Vuitton crossbody bag I'd seen her carrying, designer sunglasses, a weekend spa package. None of it was wedding-related. I called the bank, confirmed the charges, asked for itemized history. Sophia had used the card 8 times in 3 weeks. The payback never appeared. When I showed her the statement over coffee one morning, she blinked innocently. "Oh no, Mom, I must have mixed up the cards. I'll transfer the money right now." She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, and smiled. "Done. Check your app." I checked. Nothing. "Sometimes it takes a day or two," she said, patting my hand. "Don't worry." It never arrived. That night, I made photocopies of every statement going back 6 months. I started screenshotting bank alerts on my phone. I even downloaded the PDF versions and emailed them to a private Gmail account I'd never used before, one Sophia didn't know about. I told myself I was being careful, not suspicious, just careful. Then came the overheard phone call. It was late, almost midnight. David was away on a work trip. I'd gone downstairs for a glass of water and heard Sophia in the kitchen, speaking in a low, urgent voice. "Don't worry, babe. The old lady won't be around forever. We'll have the house free and clear soon. It's paid off, no mortgage to fight over. Once we get her to sign it over or, move on, we flip it. Split the cash with your parents. They're drowning in debt. And we buy something bigger out in Mason. Better schools for when the kids come." A pause. A soft laugh. "Yeah, she's sweet, but she's holding us back. Trust me, it'll be easy. She trusts me completely." My bare feet froze on the cold tile. I backed up the stairs silently, heart hammering so loud I thought she'd hear it. In my bedroom, I sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at the wall. The woman who'd called me Mom, who'd helped plant my roses, who'd promised to make me a grandma, she was counting the days until I was gone. I didn't cry. Not then. Instead, I opened my laptop. I created a new folder titled Garden Notes, innocent enough if anyone snooped. Inside, I started organizing. Dates, amounts, screenshots, that one chilling audio clip I'd managed to record on my phone by holding it near the kitchen door the next time she made a similar call. I wasn't angry yet, not fully. I was calculating. Because if Sophia thought I was just a sweet, fading old widow who'd hand over everything with a grateful smile, she was about to learn something important. I'd survived losing Tom, raising David alone, cancer scares, job layoffs, economic crashes. I wasn't powerless. I was patient. And patience, I've learned, is the most dangerous weapon of all. The morning of the wedding dawned crisp and golden, the kind of September day in Ohio where the maples are just starting to blush red and the air smells like cut grass and promise. I woke up early, as always, and stood at the bedroom window watching the light spill across the rose garden. The blooms were at their peak, deep crimson, soft pink, buttery yellow, like they'd saved their best show for today. I touched the glass and whispered to Tom, the way I still did after all these years. "Our boy's getting married, honey. Wish you were here to walk him down the aisle with me." I'd chosen a simple navy dress with 3/4 sleeves, nothing flashy. The pearl necklace Tom gave me on our 25th anniversary rested cool against my collarbone. I fastened it with hands that trembled just a little,
Not from nerves, but from the quiet weight of knowing this day marked the end of something and the beginning of something else. David had asked me to give a short toast at the reception. I'd practiced in the mirror, words about love, family, the house that had held us through every storm. Simple, honest.
The ceremony was held at St. Mark's Episcopal, the same church where Tom and I said our vows 42 years earlier. Sophia looked like something out of a magazine. Ivory lace gown with a cathedral train, veil edged in tiny seed pearls, hair swept up to show off diamond drop earrings David had surprised her with. When she walked down the aisle on her father's arm, the entire congregation sighed. David's eyes never left her. He looked like he'd won the lottery and didn't quite believe it. I sat in the front pew, smiling through the lump in my throat. When the officiant asked who gave this woman to be married, her father said her mother and I, and Sophia turned just enough to catch my eye and mouth. "Love you, Mom." My heart swelled. For a moment, everything felt right. The reception was at the country club on the edge of town. White tent on the lawn, string quartet playing Vivaldi, long tables draped in ivory linen and centered with low arrangements of white roses and eucalyptus. 200 guests. David's college friends, Sophia's sorority sisters, cousins I hadn't seen since Tom's funeral, neighbors who'd watched David grow up riding bikes down Maple Lane. Champagne flowed. Laughter rolled across the grass like summer thunder. I circulated, hugged old friends, accepted compliments on how radiant I looked. Sophia found me near the dessert table around dusk, the sky turning that perfect lavender blue. She linked her arm through mine and pulled me toward a quieter corner near the cake, a towering 4-tier vanilla with fresh flowers cascading down the sides. "Mom," she said, voice low and sweet, "we need to talk about something important." I smiled. "Of course, honey. What's on your mind?" She glanced around to make sure no one was close enough to hear, then leaned in. "David and I want to move into the house right after the honeymoon. We've been talking about it for months. It makes the most sense. Bigger than our apartment, great schools nearby once the babies come. You'll love the guest suite we picked out for you, down in the basement. We'll finish it nice, new carpet, a little kitchenette, your own bathroom, private. You won't even feel like you're sharing space." The words landed like cold water. I blinked. "The house is mine, Sophia. It's paid off. I raised David there. It's home." Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "It's family property now, Mom. David's half of everything anyway. We're just making it official. Hand over the keys tonight. Make it easy for everyone. No drama on our special day." I felt the pearl necklace suddenly too tight. I'm not moving to the basement of my own home. That's not happening. She laughed softly, like I'd told a mildly amusing joke. "You're being difficult. Think about David. He works so hard. He deserves a real home, not some dated old place with peeling wallpaper. You can visit whenever you want. We'll take good care of you." I shook my head slowly. "No." That's when it happened. Her hand cracked across my cheek, sharp, open-palmed, loud enough that a few nearby guests turned. The sting bloomed instant and hot. My ears rang. I tasted copper where my lips split against my teeth. "Give me the damn keys, you stubborn old bat," she hissed, voice barely above a whisper, but venomous enough to burn. "Or I'll make sure everyone here knows what a selfish burden you are. Smiling in public, hoarding everything while your son and his wife scrape by. You want that on our wedding photos?" I stood frozen. The string quartet kept playing. Laughter continued somewhere near the bar. No one had seen the slap except the handful of cousins closest to us, and they looked away quickly, pretending not to notice. Sophia smoothed her veil, adjusted her smile back into place like flipping a switch, and looped her arm through mine again. To anyone watching, we looked like a loving mother and daughter-in-law sharing a tender moment. "Think about it," she murmured. "Keys by the end of the night, or things get unpleasant." She kissed my cheek, the same cheek she'd just struck, and glided away toward David, who was laughing with his groomsmen by the dance floor. He glanced over, waved, completely oblivious. I touched my face. The skin was hot, already swelling. I tasted blood again. My hands shook so badly I had to clasp them behind my back. I walked to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and sat on the closed lid.
For a long minute, I just breathed. In, out. In, out. The pearl necklace felt like a noose now. When I finally emerged, I fixed my lipstick, patted powder over the red mark, and returned to the reception. I smiled at everyone. I posed for photos. I even gave my toast. Short, heartfelt, no hint of the storm inside. But something had cracked open in me that night. Not just my cheek. Something deeper. Sophia thought she'd won the first round. She thought I was shocked into silence, too old and too polite to fight back. She had no idea. I drove home alone after the send-off. Rice thrown, sparklers waving, David and Sophia climbing into the limo with rice in their hair and grins on their faces. I pulled into the driveway, sat in the dark car for a long time, engine ticking as it cooled. Then I went inside. I didn't cry. I went straight to the study, opened my laptop, and started a new folder. Wedding night. Evidence. Because the game had just changed, and I was no longer playing nice. I drove home from the reception in silence, the hum of the old Honda's engine the only sound louder than my heartbeat. The country club's twinkling lights shrank in the rearview mirror until they vanished, leaving nothing but dark highway and the occasional flash of passing headlights. My left cheek throbbed in time with each pulse, hot, swollen, the skin tight like it might split if I moved too fast. I kept one hand on the wheel and the other pressed lightly to my face, as if pressure could undo what had happened. It couldn't.
The house on Maple Lane looked exactly the same when I pulled into the driveway, porch light on timer, roses glowing faintly under the motion sensor flood, American flag hanging limp in the still night air. But stepping through the front door felt like crossing into foreign territory. The foyer smelled of Sophia's vanilla candle she'd left burning earlier that week. My house, my things, yet somehow it already felt borrowed. I didn't turn on the overhead lights. I flicked on the small lamp by the stairs, soft yellow glow that didn't reach the corners, and stood there for a long minute, listening to the quiet settle around me. No David laughing in the kitchen, no Sophia's heels clicking on the hardwood. Just me, the ticking grandfather clock in the hall, and the faint creak of the house breathing. I went to the kitchen first. The same table where David used to do multiplication tables now held a half-empty bottle of champagne Sophia had forgotten to take to the honeymoon suite. I poured the rest down the sink, watched the bubbles swirl and disappear. Then I sat, hard. The wooden chair groaned under me like an old friend who'd seen too much. My cheek burned. I touched it gingerly, raised, hot to the touch, probably bruising by morning. I could still feel the exact shape of her palm, the sting of her rings. 20 minutes earlier, she'd been smiling for photos, arm around my waist like we were best friends. Now the memory felt like a bad dream I couldn't wake from. I opened my laptop on the table. The screen's blue light felt harsh in the dim room. I didn't cry, not yet. Crying would come later, maybe. Right now, I needed facts, proof. Something solid to hold on to when the doubt started whispering that I'd imagined the whole thing, that I was just a tired old woman overreacting. I pulled up the folder I'd started months ago, garden notes. Inside were the bank statements, the screenshots, the dates and amounts. But tonight I needed more. I clicked into the security app linked to the nanny cams I'd installed after the neighbor's garage break-in last spring. I'd told everyone it was for porch pirates. Sophia had rolled her eyes and called it cute paranoia. David had shrugged and said, "Whatever makes you feel safe, Mom." I rewound the footage. Kitchen camera first. There she was, 3 weeks ago, leaning against the counter in yoga pants and one of David's old Buckeyes hoodies, phone to her ear. Yeah, the slap was just insurance. She'll cave. Old people hate scenes. By the time we get back from Aruba, she'll be signing whatever we put in front of her. Basement suite's already half planned on Pinterest. She can have her little TV and her knitting. We'll sell the place in 6 months. Market's hot. Split with your folks, buy the lake house we looked at. Kids can have their own rooms. Perfect. She laughed, light, carefree, like she was planning a vacation, not evicting her mother-in-law. I paused the video. My hand shook so badly I had to steady the mouse with both of them.
I exported the clip, saved it to an encrypted USB drive I kept in the back of the junk drawer. Then I went to the living room camera. More of the same. Sophia pacing while on speakerphone with who I assumed was her sister. She actually thinks the house is hers forever. Like, honey, your son owns half by marriage law or whatever. We just need her signature. Or, if she gets too stubborn, we can always say she's not all there anymore. Dementia runs in families, right? Adult Protective Services would eat that up. Another laugh. Sharper this time. I saved that one too. By 2 a.m., I had 7 clips. Phone calls, conversations with David when he wasn't in the room, her practicing excuses, rehearsing how she'd gently convince him I needed round-the-clock care. She never once said she loved me in those recordings. Not once.
I closed the laptop. The kitchen clock read 2:47. My body felt heavy, like it belonged to someone else. I walked upstairs slowly, each step deliberate. In the master bedroom, Tom's and mine, I didn't turn on the light. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my navy dress, pearls still around my neck. That's when the tears came. Quiet at first, then harder. Not loud sobs, just the kind that shake your shoulders and make your chest ache. I cried for Tom, who would have protected me, for David, who still didn't see, for the version of Sophia I'd believed in, the one who planted roses and called me mom like she meant it, for myself, because I'd let her in so deep she could reach the softest parts. But even as the tears fell, something else rose underneath. Not anger, not fully. Resolve. Cold, clear, steady. I wiped my face with the back of my hand, stood up, and went to the closet. In the back, behind Tom's old winter coats that still smelled faintly of his aftershave, was a small fireproof box. Inside, the original deed to the house, my will, updated last year, leaving everything to David with a trust clause if he ever divorced, birth certificates, social security cards, and a thick envelope labeled emergency. I pulled out the envelope. Inside were the copies I'd made of everything suspicious over the past year. Bank fraud alerts I'd quietly filed online. A printout of the county the quarters office showing no unauthorized liens or transfers, yet. Margaret's business card, my high school friend who'd gone on to become one of the sharpest elder law attorneys in Dayton. I'd called her last month for hypothetical advice. She told me to keep records. Paper trails win cases, Ellie. Always. I added tonight's USB drive to the box, locked it, hid it again. Then I changed out of the dress, hung it carefully in the closet, like it was evidence too. I washed my face, put arnica gel on the bruise, and looked at myself in the mirror. The mark was darkening already, purple blooming under the skin. Tomorrow, people would ask. I'd say I tripped on the dance floor. Clumsy old lady. But inside, I wasn't clumsy anymore. I was invisible, exactly the way Sophia wanted me. And that was her biggest mistake. Because when you think someone's powerless, you stop watching them. And I had been watching everything, all along. The morning after the wedding, the house felt like a battlefield where only one side knew shots had been fired. Sunlight poured through the kitchen windows, catching dust motes and lazy spirals, but the warmth did nothing to thaw the cold knot in my chest. My cheek had darkened overnight, purple fading to sickly green around the edges. I covered it with concealer I hadn't used since Tom's funeral, then added a light scarf just in case. No one would see the mark unless I let them. I heard the car before I saw it, David's silver SUV crunching gravel in the driveway. Doors slammed. Voices, his cheerful, hers clipped and impatient. They came through the front door carrying moving boxes like conquerors claiming territory. "Mom," David called, setting a box labeled Kitchen Essentials on the counter. "We're here. Honeymoon was amazing. Aruba was paradise. You should have seen the sunrise over the water." Sophia followed, sunglasses perched on her head, still glowing from the trip. She gave me a quick once-over, eyes flicking to my face. If she noticed the bruise hidden under makeup, she didn't show it. Instead, she smiled, that bright, practiced smile. "Morning, Mom. We figured we'd start moving stuff in today. No point waiting, right? The sooner we settle, the sooner we can all get comfortable." I poured coffee into 3 mugs, mine the old chipped one with World's Best Grandma that David had given me years ago, before grandkids were even a possibility. "Of course," I said mildly. "Coffee?" David took his black,
kissed my forehead. Thanks, Mom. You okay? You look a little tired. Long night, I answered. Weddings take it out of you. Sophia accepted her mug with a nod. We'll try not to disrupt too much. Just the basics for now. Clothes, some kitchen things. Oh, and we brought paint samples. Thought we could start on the living room this weekend. That gray we talked about, it'll brighten everything up. I sipped my coffee. Sounds ambitious. She set her mug down. Speaking of keys, you said you'd hand them over last night, but things got busy with the send-off. I reached into my cardigan pocket and pulled out a small ring of keys, the old spares I kept for the garden shed and the back gate. I placed them in her palm. Here you go. Her fingers closed around them. A small, triumphant smile tugged at her lips. Smart choice, Mom. See? We're all on the same page now. David beamed. Thanks for being cool about this. It's going to be great having the whole family under one roof.
They started unloading the car. Suitcases, garment bags, a flat-screen TV still in its box, crates of her designer shoes. I watched from the kitchen doorway, arms folded loosely. Every trip they made, every box they carried upstairs to what used to be David's old bedroom, now the master, I noted mentally. They assumed I was surrendering. They assumed wrong. What they didn't know, I'd spent the sleepless hours after the reception making moves of my own. First, the locks. While they were still on their honeymoon flight, I'd called a 24-hour locksmith. New deadbolts on every exterior door. New smart lock on the front, with codes only I knew. The old keys Sophia now held? Useless, except for the shed. She could unlock a garden tool cabinet, but not my house. Second, the security system. The nanny cams weren't just for show anymore. I'd upgraded the subscription quietly. Cloud storage, motion alert straight to my phone, two-factor authentication she'd never crack. Every room they entered now had eyes, every conversation caught. Third, the paperwork. I'd logged into the county recorder's office website at pre-AM and filed a preliminary fraud alert on the property deed. Nothing dramatic, just a note that any transfer attempts required in-person verification and my direct signature. I'd also called the bank and frozen the emergency credit card she'd abused. No more charges. If she tried, it would flag immediately.
And Margaret, I texted her at dawn. It's time. Wedding night escalated. Need to meet ASAP. Her reply came fast. Come to the office tomorrow. Bring everything. We'll build the fortress. By noon, they'd claimed half the house. Sophia directed traffic like a general. Her clothes in my closet. She'd tidy mine later, she said. Her throw pillows on my couch. Her art prints already leaning against walls waiting to be hung. David helped cheerfully, oblivious. When he asked why I wasn't unpacking my own things, I shrugged. I'll get to it. No rush. Sophia caught my eye then. You're moving to the basement suite, right? We'll start finishing it next week. Drywall, flooring, the works. You'll have your own space. Private entrance from the garage, even. I smiled faintly. We'll see. She laughed, light and dismissive. You'll love it, Mom. Trust me. I did no such thing. That afternoon, I slipped upstairs to Tom's old study while they were out buying groceries. I locked the door, another new habit, and opened my laptop. I reviewed the overnight footage. Sophia in the kitchen, testing the new keys in the back door, frowning when they didn't turn. Weird. Must be the wrong set. She tried the front. Same result. A flash of irritation crossed her face before she smoothed it away. Good.
I forwarded the clip to Margaret with a note. Exhibit A, attempted unauthorized entry post-coercion. Then I started packing. Not my life, but my evidence. Important documents into the fireproof box. Digital copies to an external drive I'd hide in the attic rafters. A burner phone I'd bought last month. Cash, no name, for calls to Margaret only. I even moved a few sentimental items. Tom's watch, David's baby blanket, my mother's recipe cards, into a small duffel I kept under the bed, just in case. Downstairs, they returned with bags of food. Sophia unpacked organic kale, almond milk, gluten-free bread. We're eating cleaner now, Mom. Better for everyone. I nodded. Sounds healthy. David hugged me from behind. Thanks for letting us do this, Mom. Means a lot. I patted his arm. Anything for you, sweetheart. Sophia watched us, eyes narrow. She thought she had me cornered. Old, tired, grieving the wedding slap, ready to fade into the basement like a ghost. She was wrong on every count. I wasn't fading. I was positioning. Playing the frail old lady perfectly. Slow steps when they watched, soft voice, occasional forgetful moments.
Where did I put my glasses again? They relaxed. They stopped watching so closely. But I watched everything.
Every time Sophia used my old laptop to check email, every whispered phone call in the backyard, every time she measured windows for new curtains we'll all love, I documented it all, quietly, patiently, because wars aren't won with shouts, they're won with preparation. And I had months, years even, of preparation ahead of me. Sophia thought she'd taken the house. She had no idea I'd already turned it into a trap, one she'd walk right into. The weeks after they moved in blurred into a strange domestic theater. I played my part flawlessly, the sweet, slightly confused widow shuffling through the house in house slippers, murmuring thank you when Sophia handed me a cup of decaf, pretending to misplace my reading glasses twice a day. They bought it. David patted my shoulder and said things like, "We're here to help now, Mom. Don't worry about a thing." Sophia's smiles grew wider, more confident. She thought the game was already won. I let them think that.
Every morning, I woke before dawn, slipped downstairs while they slept, and brewed coffee in silence. While the house was still dark, I checked the nanny cam feeds on my phone, tiny thumbnails of every room. Kitchen, living room, hallway, even the front porch. I'd added one more in the study after they started borrowing my printer for wedding thank you notes that never quite got mailed. Motion alerts pinged my phone at odd hours. 2:17 a.m., Sophia in the study rifling through drawers. 3:42 a.m., her on the couch whispering into her phone. I saved every clip, time-stamped, labeled with dates and what I could overhear. One night I caught her clearest yet. She was in the kitchen, back to the camera, voice low but sharp. "Yeah, she's slipping fast. Forgets where she puts things. Last week, she couldn't remember David's middle name. I'm telling you, we get the doctor to sign off on mild cognitive impairment, and the deed transfer goes through easy, no contest. Then we list it. Realtor says we could clear $380 after fees. Split with your folks, pay off their second mortgage, buy the new build in Mason. Done." A pause. She laughed softly. "David's clueless. Thinks I'm just helping Mom adjust. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him when she's declared incompetent. Trust me." I saved it, added it to the growing digital vault on the encrypted drive hidden in the attic insulation. Then I went back to bed, heart steady, mind racing. By day, I kept the act up. I forgot to pay the electric bill one month, let the late notice arrive so Sophia could swoop in and handle it. She did, using her own card this time, but not before photographing the bill and texting someone, proof she can't manage finances anymore. I saw the text pop up on her phone screen when she left it on the counter to grab laundry. I photographed it with mine. Another piece. She grew bolder. She redecorated the living room while I was napping upstairs. My floral sofa pillows vanished, replaced with stiff beige ones that looked like they belonged in a catalog, not a home. Family photos, Tom and me on our honeymoon, David's kindergarten graduation, were moved to a single shelf in the hallway, replaced by black and white abstract prints she'd ordered online. "Modern aesthetic," she explained when I noticed. "It opens the space up, Mom. You'll get used to it." I nodded slowly. "It's different." She beamed. "Good different." She started telling the neighbors I was having a rough time adjusting. Mrs. Callahan from next door brought over a casserole and asked if I needed help with errands. Sophia answered for me. "She's a little forgetful these days. We're keeping an eye on things." Mrs. Callahan hugged me extra tight when she left. Sophia even called Adult Protective Services once. I heard her on the phone in the backyard. Thought the sliding door was closed tight enough. "Yes, my mother-in-law. She's 70, lives with us now. She's showing signs of confusion, misplacing important papers, forgetting to eat sometimes. She gets agitated when we try to help. I'm worried she might hurt herself. Can someone come assess?" The caseworker arrived 3 days later, a kind-faced woman in her 40s named Carla, clipboard in hand. Sophia greeted her at the door like a concerned daughter-in-law, all soft voice and worried eyes. "She's upstairs resting," Sophia said. "She has good days and bad. Today's not great." Carla asked to speak with me alone. Sophia hesitated, then smiled tightly. "Of course, I'll make tea." I invited Carla into the study, my sanctuary. I served chamomile from the tin I kept on the shelf, offered shortbread cookies I'd baked the night before when they were out. We sat. She asked gentle questions. Did I feel safe? Was I managing my medications? Did I understand my finances? I answered clearly. I showed her my pill organizer, perfectly sorted, my checkbook, balanced to the penny, the folder of recent bills, all paid. Then casually I mentioned the helpful changes around the house, the redecorate, the way my things kept disappearing, the suggestions about moving to assisted living.
Carla's pen paused. Has anyone pressured you to sign documents or made you feel unsafe? I touched my cheek absently, the bruise long faded, but the memory fresh. Not unsafe, exactly, just pushed. She nodded, made notes. When Sophia returned with tea, Carla asked to see the basement suite they'd promised. Sophia let her down. I stayed upstairs, listening through the vent. It's still a work in progress, Sophia said brightly, but it'll be perfect for her. Private, quiet. Carla's voice floated up. And she agreed to this move? A pause. She's coming around. When they came back up, Carla's expression had shifted, polite but cooler. She thanked me for the tea, handed me her card. If anything changes, call me, anytime. Sophia walked her out. When the door closed, she stormed back into the kitchen. She liked you, she snapped. What did you say? I shrugged. Just had tea, talked about the weather. Her jaw tightened. For the first time, I saw real frustration crack through the perfect mask. That night, David came home late. Sophia greeted him with a kiss, then whispered something in his ear. He glanced at me, frowning slightly. Mom, everything okay with the caseworker? Fine, I said. Nice lady, brought cookies.
He relaxed. Sophia didn't. I kept building. Every day a new layer. Another clip, another photo, another note in my hidden notebook. Margaret and I met twice, once at a coffee shop across town, once in her office after hours. She reviewed the footage, the financial trails, the forged signature attempts I'd caught on camera. She smiled grimly. This is textbook elder financial abuse, Ellie. Coercion, fraud. We've got enough for a protective order and a civil suit. Criminal if we push. But let's wait. Let her dig deeper. The deeper she goes, the harder she falls. I nodded. I can wait. And I did. Sophia thought she was tightening the noose. She had no idea I was the one holding the rope, and when the moment came, I'd pull. The house had become a pressure cooker by early November. Leaves blanketed the lawn in wet gold and crimson, that inside, the air felt thick, electric, like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. Sophia had stopped pretending to be gentle. The sweet daughter-in-law act had worn thin, replaced by clipped commands and sideways glances that said she was done waiting for me to fade away quietly.
David was working longer hours again, overtime on a big project deadline, and when he was home, he was distracted, scrolling emails on his phone at dinner, nodding absently while Sophia talked. She filled the silence with plans. New hardwood floors for the living room, granite countertops in the kitchen, updates that would increase the value when we eventually... She always trailed off there, smiling like it was a joke we were all in on. I kept my routine. Slow walks to the mailbox, forgot my glasses on the coffee table so she'd have to fetch them. Soft thank yous for every small thing she did. It lulled her, made her careless. That Tuesday evening, the sky was already dark by 6. Rain tapped against the windows like impatient fingers. David had texted he'd be late, client dinner in Cincinnati, so it was just Sophia and me. She'd been on edge all day. I'd overheard her on the phone in the garage earlier, voice sharp. The realtor needs comps by Friday. We can't wait much longer. She's dragging her feet, but I've got a plan. She came into the kitchen around 7, heels clicking on the tile like gunshots. I was at the sink, rinsing a teacup slowly, deliberately. She didn't bother with small talk. Mom, she said, voice flat, we need to finish this tonight. I turned, drying my hands on a dish towel. Finish what, honey? She pulled a thick manila envelope from her purse and slapped it on the table. The quitclaim deed. David already signed his half. He thinks it's for estate planning. All you have to do is sign here. She tapped the bottom line with a manicured nail. Then we file it tomorrow. Easy. No more fighting. I looked at the papers. My name typed neatly above the signature line. The house address.
the words transfer of interest in bold. I met her eyes. I'm not signing that, Sophia. Her jaw tightened. You will, because if you don't, things get ugly. I've already talked to a doctor friend who'll write a letter saying you're showing early signs of dementia, memory lapses, confusion, poor judgment. Adult Protective Services will be back, and this time they won't leave smiling. They'll take you somewhere safe, somewhere permanent. And David, he'll believe me. He always does. She stepped closer. Sign it, or I make the call tonight. The kitchen light buzzed overhead. Rain drummed harder. I felt the weight of every hidden camera, every saved clip, every note Margaret and I had compiled. But I kept my face soft, confused. I just want to stay in my home, I said quietly. It's all I have left of Tom, of raising David. Sophia laughed, short, ugly. Your home. It's ours now. You're just squatting. Sign the damn paper. She reached for a pen on the counter. That's when she raised her hand again. Same motion as the wedding night, palm open, ready to strike. I didn't flinch. The front door opened. David's voice cut through the rain. Hey, I'm home early. Client canceled the dessert course. He stepped into the kitchen, coat dripping, briefcase in one hand. He froze. Sophia's arm was still raised, my cheek, unmarked this time, but the memory of the last slap hung between us like smoke. The manila envelope lay open on the table, the deed visible. Mom? David's voice cracked on the single word. Sophia spun, hand dropping fast. Honey, you're home. We were just talking about the house. Mom's being stubborn again. David's eyes moved from her to me, to the raised papers, to my face, calm but eyes steady. What's going on? He asked slowly.
Sophia laughed nervously. Nothing. She's confused. I was just explaining. David walked past her. He picked up the deed, read the first line, then the signature line, his name already there, dated 2 weeks ago. You told me this was for life insurance paperwork, he said, voice low. You said Mom needed to update beneficiaries. Sophia's smile faltered. It is, sort of. It's just simplifying things. He looked at me. Mom, did you know about this? I shook my head once. No, she's been asking me to sign something like this for weeks, threatening me if I don't. David's face went pale. Threatening you? Sophia stepped forward. She's exaggerating, babe. She's old. She forgets. David turned to the corner of the room. The small black dome of the nanny cam I'd installed months ago, still there, lens glinting under the light. You left it on, he said to me, almost a whisper. I nodded. I always do. He pulled out his phone, opened the app I'd shown him once, just in case of break-ins. He scrolled back through the timeline, stopped on a clip from 3 nights ago. Sophia in the living room, measuring walls, talking to someone on speaker. Once the deed's signed, we list it. She can go to Sunrise Senior Living. They take Medicaid after the house sells. He played another. The kitchen call about the doctor's letter. Then the wedding night audio I'd transferred to the cloud, her hissing at me by the cake table. He listened, face draining of color with each second. Sophia reached for his arm. Baby, it's not what it sounds like. She's twisting everything. David jerked away. Don't. Silence stretched. Rain hammered the roof. The clock ticked. He looked at me, really looked. Saw the way I stood a little hunched, playing the frail part so long it had almost become real. Saw the quiet strength underneath. Mom, he said, voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I stepped forward, touched his cheek gently. I know, sweetheart. I know. Sophia backed up until she hit the counter. This is ridiculous. You're going to believe her over me, your wife? David didn't answer right away. He just stared at the phone, thumb hovering over the screen. Then he looked at her, eyes cold. Go pack a bag, he said quietly. You're leaving. Tonight. She laughed, high, panicked. You can't be serious. I am.
He turned to me. Mom, do you want me to call Margaret now or the police? I shook my head. Not yet. Let her go, for now. Sophia stared at us both, mouth open, then snapped it shut. She grabbed her purse, stormed upstairs. We heard drawers slamming, closet doors banging. David sank into a chair. How long has this been going on? Since before the wedding, I said softly, but I didn't want to believe it. not until she slapped me at the reception. His head dropped into his hands. I didn't see. I should have seen. You will now, I told him. Upstairs, Sophia came down with a suitcase. She stopped in the doorway, eyes blazing. You'll regret this, she hissed at me. Both of you. David stood. Get out. She left. The door slammed. Car engine roared. Taillights disappeared into the rain. David and I stood in the kitchen, rain still falling, house quiet again. He looked at me, tears in his eyes. I'm staying, Mom, right here, until we fix this. I pulled him into a hug, the way I used to when he was small. We already started.
The breaking point had come, and the real fight was just beginning. The rain kept falling long after Sophia's taillights disappeared down Maple Lane. Water sluiced off the gutters, drumming on the porch roof like it was trying to wash the whole night clean. Inside, the kitchen felt too bright, too quiet. David stood frozen by the sink, still holding his phone like it weighed 100 pounds. The screen glowed with the frozen image of Sophia's face, mid-laugh, from one of the clips. The one where she talked about putting me in Sunrise Senior Living, like I was an old appliance they'd donate. He finally set the phone down, carefully, like it might explode. Mom, he said, voice rough, I need to see all of it, everything. I didn't argue. I'd waited months for this moment, dreading it and needing it in equal measure. I led him to the study, flipped on the desk lamp, and opened my laptop. The folder labeled Garden Notes stared back at us, innocent as a seed packet. I clicked it open. Subfolders inside: bank records, video clips, audio files, timeline, correspondence. I started with the easiest, the financial trail. Credit card statements highlighted in yellow, charges for the TV, the Miami trip, the Louis Vuitton bag. Forged signatures on a home equity application she tried to slip through the county clerk last spring. My name scrawled in her handwriting, slightly off angle. I'd caught it because the notary stamp was missing. Printed emails to a real estate agent. Client is elderly, cognitive decline suspected. Quick flip potential. 3-bedroom colonial, paid off, prime location. Estimated ARV $385K. David scrolled slowly. His breathing grew shallower with each page. Then the videos. I played them in order, oldest first. The kitchen call 3 weeks before the wedding. Her pacing the living room, measuring for new furniture we'll buy after. The late-night conversation with her sister about the old lady won't fight it once we get the doctor's note. The clearest one, her in the basement the day after they moved in, talking to her parents on FaceTime. Look at this space. We'll finish it quick. Put her down here. Sell the upstairs. She'll never know the difference. David's already half convinced she needs help. David's hands clenched on the desk edge, knuckles white. I saved the hardest for last. The wedding night footage. The moment by the cake table. Her hand cracking across my cheek. The hiss. Give me the damn keys, you stubborn old bat. The way she smoothed her veil and smiled for the photographer 2 seconds later. He watched it twice. Didn't blink. When it ended, he sat back. Tears tracked silently down his face. He didn't wipe them, just let them fall onto a shirt collar. I married her, he whispered. I stood in front of God and everyone and promised to love her. And she did this. To you? To us? I reached over, covered his hand with mine. You didn't know, sweetheart. She hid it well. He shook his head. I should have seen. The way she talked about the house, the updates, the way she always answered for you when people asked how you were doing. I thought she was being thoughtful, protective. She was protecting her plan, I said quietly. He stood abruptly, paced the small room, 3 steps one way, 3 back, stopped at the window, stared into the dark backyard where my roses were bent under the rain. I confronted her, he said, right after I saw the first clip, in the living room. She tried to spin it, said you were confused, that the cameras were misleading. I told her I'd seen enough, that she hurt the woman who gave me everything, that she needed to leave. He turned, eyes red-rimmed but steady now. She begged, cried, said it was stress from the wedding, from money worries, that she loved me, loved you, that we could fix it if I just gave her another chance. I waited. I told her no, he said. I said the only thing left to fix was the damage she'd done, and that started with her walking out the door.
Silence settled between us, thick, heavy with everything unsaid for months. I stood, walked to the bookshelf, pulled down the small wooden box Tom had carved for our 10th anniversary. Inside, the original deed, my will, a few old photos. I handed David the will. "Read the clause," I said. He scanned it, paused at the section about divorce or separation. "If you ever divorce or legally separate from your spouse, all assets revert to a trust administered by Margaret for my lifetime benefit, then to you outright upon my passing, no spousal claim." He looked up. "You added this last year." After her first borrow of the credit card went unpaid, I admitted. I didn't want to believe it then either, but I prepared, just in case. David exhaled, a long, shaky breath. "You've been carrying this alone, all this time." "Not alone," I said. "I had Margaret, the cameras, my notes, and you, eventually." He pulled me into a hug then, tight, like when he was 10 and scared of thunderstorms. I held him back, patting his shoulders the way I always had. "We're going to fix this," he said into my hair. "All of it. The house, the marriage, whatever's left of it. You, me." I pulled back, looked him in the eye. "First things first. Margaret's ready to file tomorrow if we say the word. Elder financial abuse, fraud, attempted theft by deception. The videos alone are enough for a restraining order. We can go criminal if you want." He nodded slowly. "I want her gone, permanently. But I don't want to destroy her, just stop her from destroying us." I squeezed his hand. "Then we start with protection. For me, for the house, for you." We sat back down. I opened a new document, Margaret's template for an emergency protective order. David read it over my shoulder. "She'll fight it," he said. "She will," I agreed, "but she'll lose, because the truth is on tape, in black and white, in color, in her own voice." He stared at the screen a long moment. "I loved her," he said quietly, "or I thought I did." "You loved who she pretended to be," I told him. "The real Sophia showed up tonight, and now we know." He closed the laptop gently. "Let's get some sleep," he said. "Tomorrow we fight back, together." I nodded, walked him to the guest room, his old room, now stripped of her things. He paused in the doorway. "Mom?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for waiting, for not giving up on me." I smiled, small, tired, real. "I never gave up on you, David. Not once." He closed the door softly. I went back to my bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, listened to the rain slow to a drizzle. The revelation had come. The mask was off. And for the first time in months, the house felt like mine again. Ours again. The real battle was just starting. But this time, we were fighting on the same side. The next morning felt like the first real dawn in months. Sunlight sliced through the kitchen blinds in sharp gold bars, catching dust motes that danced like tiny sparks. No rain, no Sophia, just David and me at the table, coffee steaming between us, the manila envelope with the quitclaim deed still lying there like a dead snake we'd finally killed. David hadn't slept much, dark circles under his eyes, but his voice was steady when he spoke. "I called Margaret at Sudden. She's coming over at 9 with the paperwork. We're filing today." I nodded, stirring sugar into my mug even though I take it black. "Good. Let's make it clean." Margaret arrived right on time, briefcase in one hand, travel mug in the other. She hugged me first, long and tight, the way only old friends do, then shook David's hand with a firm grip. "You two ready to end this chapter?" We sat in the living room. Margaret spread documents across the coffee table like a general laying out battle plans. Emergency motion so protective order, civil complaint for financial elder abuse and fraud, request for temporary restraining order, and a notice to freeze any pending real estate inquiries tied to the property. She'd already emailed the county clerk a supplemental fraud alert overnight, attaching stills from the videos showing Sophia's attempted forgery.
The videos are gold, Margaret said, tapping her tablet. Time-stamped, clear audio, her face in frame. We've got coercion on the wedding night clip, financial exploitation on the credit card trail, attempted deed theft here. Ohio loves elder abuse cases like this. Judges don't mess around. David leaned forward. What happens to her? First, the protective order. She can't come within 500 feet of the house or contact either of you. If she violates, it's automatic arrest. Then the civil suit. Damages for emotional distress, restitution for the unauthorized charges, punitive if the judge wants to send a message. Criminal referral to the prosecutor's office is next. Fraud, elder financial abuse, could be felony level depending on the amount and intent. I looked at him. You sure you want to go this far? He met my eyes. She slapped you, twice. She tried to steal your home, our home. Yeah, I'm sure. Margaret filed everything electronically while we watched. The clerk's office confirmed receipt within minutes. By noon, the temporary restraining order was granted ex parte, no hearing needed yet. Sophia would be served by the sheriff that afternoon. We didn't have to wait long.
Around 3, my phone buzzed. An alert from the front porch camera. A sheriff's cruiser pulled up. 2 deputies stepped out, one holding a manila folder. Sophia's white SUV rolled in behind them seconds later. She must have gotten a call or text warning her. She climbed out fast, sunglasses on, hair pulled back tight like armor. The deputies approached her on the driveway. One read the order aloud while the other handed her the papers. Sophia's face went from defiant to pale in real time. She argued, voice rising, hands gesturing, but the deputies stayed calm, professional. They pointed to the street. She had to leave. Now. David watched from the window beside me. His jaw was set, but his eyes were wet again. Sophia looked up at the house, straight at the camera she'd never noticed. For a second, her gaze locked with mine through the glass. Pure fury. Then she got back in her car, slammed the door, and peeled out. Margaret had already frozen the joint accounts David had opened after the wedding. Sophia's access was cut. The real estate agent she'd contacted called Margaret back that evening, cooperating fully after being told about the fraud allegations. He forwarded every email, every text. I had no idea, he said. She told me it was a family transfer for estate planning.
Sophia tried to run that night. David got a notification from their shared Find My app. She'd packed a suitcase, driven to her parents' house in Columbus. She called him from there, voice shaking. Baby, please, this is a misunderstanding. Your mom's twisting everything. Come get me. We can talk. Fix it. David put her on speaker. I stood beside him. No, he said. You don't get to come back. You hurt my mother. You lied to me for months. We're done. She sobbed. I love you. I was just trying to build a future for us. You were trying to build a future on my mom's back, he cut in. Pack your things from the house tomorrow when the movers come. I'll have them delivered to your parents. Don't come here. Don't call. Don't text. The restraining order's in effect. She screamed then, wordless, raw, hung up. The movers arrived the next day. David supervised every box. Her clothes, her shoes, her kitchen gadgets, her beige pillows. He left nothing behind that wasn't hers. When they finished, he changed the security codes again, for good measure. Sophia tried one last play 2 days later. She showed up at Margaret's office with her father, demanding to talk sense into us. Margaret met them in the lobby, calm, professional, and reminded them of the order. Security escorted them out. Her father called me that night, voice thick with anger. You're ruining my daughter's life over a house? I answered quietly. Your daughter tried to ruin mine. She slapped me, forged documents, planned to put me in a home so she could sell my house. Tell her to live with the consequences. He hung up. The civil suit moved fast. Discovery started. Sophia's bank records, phone logs, emails, every lie she'd told unraveled. She hired a lawyer, but he advised her to settle. The evidence was overwhelming. In the end, she took a plea in the criminal case. Probation, restitution for the credit card charges, plus $15,000 in damages, 100 hours community service, and a permanent no-contact order. The marriage was annulled, fraudulent intent from the start. David walked away with nothing shared except the memories he wanted to forget. 6 weeks after that night in the kitchen, the house was quiet again. Fresh paint on the living room walls. Soft cream, my choice. My roses pruned and blooming late into fall. David moved back into his old room upstairs, temporarily. He cooked dinner most nights. Simple things, like the spaghetti Tom used to make. We talked, really talked, about Sophia, about what he'd missed, about what came next.
One evening, he found me in the garden, kneeling by the crimson blooms. "Mom," he said, "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." I stood, brushed dirt from my hands. "You see it now. That's what matters." He hugged me, tight, no words needed. Sophia was gone. The tables had turned. And for the first time in a long time, the house felt safe. Home. Mine. Ours.
6 months had passed since the night the rain stopped and Sophia drove away for the last time. Spring had come back to Maple Lane the way it always did in Ohio, slow at first, then all at once. Crocuses pushed through the mulch in purple and yellow bursts. The maples leafed out in tender green. And my roses, those stubborn, beautiful things, were blooming earlier than usual, fat crimson heads nodding in the breeze like they knew something I didn't. The house looked different now, not because we'd torn it apart and rebuilt it, though we'd done some of that, but because it breathed again. The beige pillows were gone, donated to the church thrift shop, along with half of Sophia's modern aesthetic decor. I'd repainted the living room myself, soft cream with one accent wall the pale blue of a summer sky, the color Tom always said reminded him of the lake we used to visit up in Michigan. David helped hang the old family photos back where they belonged. Tom and me on our honeymoon in black and white, David's kindergarten graduation with the gap-toothed grin, the three of us at Christmas 2015 when he was still taller than me. David had moved back in permanently, not as a guest, but as family. He took the upstairs bedroom, his old one, and turned the basement into a home gym and office instead of the suite Sophia had planned. He worked from home 2 days a week now, the engineering firm flexible after he explained the situation to HR. No details, just family emergency. They understood. We fell into a rhythm. Mornings, coffee on the porch, watching birds at the feeder I'd hung last fall. Evenings, dinner together. Sometimes takeout, sometimes my lasagna, the real one, with fennel and whole milk ricotta. We talked about everything we'd avoided for years, his childhood memories, Tom's last days, the wedding that never should have happened. We cried sometimes, laughed more. He started dating again, slowly, cautiously, with a woman named Lauren from his office. She came over for dinner once, sweet, quiet, asked about my roses. I liked her. The legal pieces had settled like dust after a storm. Sophia took the plea deal, 3 years probation, full restitution, $18,400, including interest and emotional damages, mandatory financial abuse counseling, and a permanent no-contact order. The annulment went through without contest, fraudulent intent proven by the videos and documents. She lost the right to any claim on the house, the joint accounts, anything tied to the marriage. Last I heard through a mutual neighbor, small towns talk, she was living with her parents in Columbus, working retail at a mall department store, telling anyone who'd listen that I'd ruined her life with lies and cameras. I kept the footage backed up, 3 encrypted drives in different places, one in the fireproof box, one in Margaret's office safe, one in a safety deposit box at the bank. Not for revenge, for insurance. If she ever tried to come back, twist the story, play victim on social media or to family, the truth was 1 click away. One Saturday in late May, David and I drove to the cemetery. Tom's stone was simple granite. Thomas James Harper, beloved husband and father, 1952-2002. We brought fresh roses, crimson, just opened. I knelt, brushed dirt from the base, placed the flowers in the bronze vase. David stood behind me, hands in his pockets. "I miss him," he said quietly. "Me too." I touched the stone. "But he'd be proud of you. The way you stepped up. The way you chose right."
David swallowed. I almost didn't. "You did," I said. "That's what counts." We stayed until the sun dipped low, turning the grass gold. On the way home, David glanced over. "You ever think about selling? Moving somewhere smaller?" I looked out the window at the passing houses, familiar porches, kids on bikes, sprinklers throwing rainbows. "No, this is home, always will be." He nodded. "Good, because I'm not going anywhere either, not for a while." That evening, we sat on the back porch. New rocking chairs I'd bought online,
cushioned in navy blue. Fireflies blinked in the yard. David opened 2 bottles of root beer, Tom's favorite, and we clinked them like champagne. "To new beginnings," he said. "To keeping what matters," I answered. The next week, Mrs. Callahan from next door stopped by with zucchini pasta. She hugged me extra long. "Heard everything," she whispered. "You're stronger than anyone gives you credit for." I smiled. "Sometimes you just have to wait for the right moment." She laughed. "And plant good roses in the meantime."
I still check the cameras now and then. Not obsessively, just habit. The alerts are rare. A delivery guy dropping a package, a raccoon raiding the trash. No Sophia, no threats. Just quiet. David proposed to Lauren on Christmas Eve. Simple, under the same string lights he'd hung for his 30th birthday. She said yes. They're planning a small wedding next fall. Backyard, family only, my roses in full bloom for the bouquets. I'm already knitting a lace shawl for her, white with tiny pearl beads, like the necklace Tom gave me. Sometimes at night, when the house is still and David's asleep upstairs, I walk through the rooms, touch the kitchen table where he carved his initials, run my fingers over the banister he slid down as a boy, stand in the garden, and listen to the crickets. The day Sophia slapped me, she thought I was powerless, an old woman with nothing left but memories and a house she could take. She believed the keys were all that mattered. She was wrong. The keys were never the point. The point was the life inside those walls, the love, the history, the quiet strength that doesn't shout, doesn't slap, doesn't threaten. It waits, it watches, it endures. And when the time is right, it locks the door.
I still have the original set, the ones that open every lock in this house. They hang on a hook by the back door, brass worn smooth from years of use. I don't need to clutch them anymore. They're mine. Always were. Sophia's gone. The bruise faded long ago. The betrayal still stings sometimes, but it's a dull ache now, not a fresh wound. David's laughter echoes from the kitchen where he's cooking dinner. Lauren's voice joins his, soft, happy. I smile into the evening light. I didn't just keep the house. I kept my life, my family, my home. And that, in the end, is the only key that ever truly mattered.